This is TWiT.
Good year, good quarter, right?
They're going to be okay for another quarter at least.
Yeah.
How much money did they make? What's the profit?
$42 billion.
That's revenue,
in
right?
revenues. Yeah. Correct.
Yep.
Jeez. And that's
net
gross.
income, $15.5 billion.
Nice. It's nice when you can make more than $1 billion a week in life.
Yeah.
Take home pay. That's nice.
Yeah. Right. By the way, those are huge increases over last year. So
they are.
The net income is up 44% year over year.
Wow. That's great.
The pandemic is the best thing that's ever happened, baby.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, that's what, of course, it's a double-edged sword, because that's why, of course, all of a sudden the EU and Congress and the Federal Trade Commission are all investigating big tech, because they made so much money. I think it just...
Well, Leo, not all of big tech. See, that's the fun part.
Not Microsoft.
For once, Microsoft is not part of the party, and they're A-okay with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
the
watch.
second most valuable company in the world, and no one is paying any attention.
We'll watch from a distance.
Yep. No, the number that I know, we make fun of this number all the time, commercial cloud, because it's a fake number. Microsoft takes, Microsoft 365 plus Azure plus Dynamics 365, and they mush it all together into a big ball, and they call it
with little
commercial cloud.
Wart and Hive Newt and
exactly, mix it up.
But put it in the cauldron.
But you know what? Okay, so the revenues for the entire company were $42 billion, and commercial cloud was like $18 billion. So it's almost half of what they're doing in revenues now, which is unbelievable, right? That's unbelievable.
The other way, this is harder to compute, but you can look at the revenues from the various business units to kind of think about it a little bit. I mean, if you think about the parts of Microsoft that are entirely or partially cloud businesses, it's got to be closer to 75%, right? Revenue-wise. I mean, it's incredible.
If you add everything, yeah. I know.
Carmine in the chat room says the finance industry was going nuts that Azure growth was only 50%.
I know.
Only.
That's the dumbest thing.
After earnings yesterday, Microsoft stock went down, right? Even though they had like a spectacular quarter, amazing earnings. And I think it was Dina Bass who asked a couple analysts, like, why is the stock price going down? And they said, well, they beat expectations, but they didn't beat it as spectacularly as we thought they might.
They say.
How do you win? It's a no-win situation. Right?
Yeah. This is why generally on our shows, while we report on financial news, because there's some insight you can get into the other company, not how a company's doing, but in what the company's doing. I often think that the way the market responds and all of this stuff is it's just not germane to whether the company's making products people want.
That's right. Wall Street has never made sense to me.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic year has skewed things for sure for lots of companies, not just Microsoft. But it is interesting. There are companies, and Slack falls into this category. Spotify actually kind of falls into this category, where you would have thought that they would have benefited greatly from the pandemic, and they kind of didn't. Whereas companies like Google had even higher revenues than Microsoft, or Microsoft, and I'm sure Apple, which we'll see soon, all very much did. I mean, no one is wishing for this, but. Like I was joking, this is the best thing that's ever happened. But I mean, for these companies, in many ways, it is kind of the best thing that's ever happened. Their services are so important to so many people, and this really kind of drove that home.
It's also, I think, okay, maybe you tell me if I'm nuts. PC industry did benefit from quarantine big time.
Oh my God, yeah.
But it shows that Microsoft is less dependent on Windows sales than they used to be. Is that fair?
For sure. That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
cloud didn't benefit as much from COVID as PC sales did. And since Microsoft...
actually, I think cloud did as well. Because people working from home are hitting cloud services.
Oh, that's true. But Azure... I guess Dynamics,
honestly,
yes, but not Azure, right?
Yeah, I think it lifted all boats at most
I
boats
do
at Microsoft.
I do too.
And I think the thing you're kind of hinting at is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, where Microsoft has a very diverse product portfolio. Google has advertising. It's 80% of their revenues. Apple has the iPhone, which is directly, I think, 60-something or 70% of their revenues. Microsoft, they don't have the one product that's like that anymore.
Right. So that's
that was taken from them. It's not like they wanted that.
Here's the analogy I use. for me in my head. If I had put every penny I own into Apple stock or Microsoft stock, I would have made more money than I did because I bet on the market as a whole.
Sure.
To balance out, you diversify, and that's so. Yeah. Diversification is good, but you might miss those sudden.
But that's not a sure thing, you know.
Yeah, but it's good in the long run, right?
Yeah, I mean, right, because if you have everything in one bucket, if something happens, like chip shortages or things like that,
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Right.
So yeah, I think Microsoft's hand was forced. I mean, when Google Docs came along, it was like, we got to put Office in the cloud. Okay, but it worked out for them, right? And ever since, they didn't look back, and they've just kept doing everything in the cloud since then, basically.
So
yeah, the Azure number though is crazy, right? So they grew 50%.
Yeah, and the growth is insane.
And Microsoft stock is down by 2 or 3%.
I know.
By the way, off the top of your head, Mary Jo, when did Microsoft Azure launch, do you think?
Like 10 years ago. 10, 11
almost over 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that's why I just it's got to stop paying any attention to the stock market on this.
It's not a new product.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, that's part of it, right?
Right.
It's Microsoft's been doing well all along, so we're not going to buy up on the stock. But Google, which hasn't been doing good, did well. So we're going to buy that stock. Screw them.
I know.
Go buy GameStop and stay out of my life.
Probably would have done great with GameStop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that, you know what, and this is really good for Satya Nadella because he came in and doubled down. He put not all his chips, but he put a lot of the chips on Azure, and that's turned out quite well, right?
Yeah, he got to ride the wave. Like the wave had already kind of started before him, and then he comes in, and it's like, woo, yeah, you're going up.
Well, he would probably say, no, strategically, I knew that cloud was important, and this was a bet on. This was my strategy, and
sure.
It's not a game. He's saying I see, and you know what? I can't disagree with him. No, I'm not surprised the cloud is up 50%. That's amazing.
No, I know. If you look at some of these giant contracts, right? They keep saying we're getting bigger Azure contracts and with fewer, it may not be more customers, but bigger contracts that last longer periods of time. That's like money in the bank, right? Because it means you're going to spread it out like that HoloLens contract they just got with the military.
Huge.
Right? It's going to last
bigger
forever.
than Jedi.
yeah, double the size of Jedi.
Yeah.
Right.
Those deals, boy, for a 10-year deal, that's.
I know. That's what you want.
That's what you want.
Repeatability, the predictability.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally money in the bank.
I was trying not to say that's money in the bank, but it is. It is. That's exactly what it is.